Now on what's happening in Zimbabwe. Joining me in the studio is Africa analyst Tapiwa Diamond Chadya. Tapiwa, good morning. Thank you very much. Things are not great. Is the call by the MDC for South Africa to step in a good one? Because I understood and I thought Thabo Mbeki, currently the former president of South Africa, has been busy trying to sort things out in Zimbabwe with all kinds of consultations.
No, thank you for having me. Well, the situation of Zimbabwe has been going on for quite a very long time. And to say, is it a time-ticking bomb? Yes, it is, partly yes, partly no, because the regime which is there now, which is ZANU-PF, is going to implode, explode, and then the people from ZANU-PF will still come and be in power. In terms of hope, I like to look at it this way to say, let's speak of the optimism of grace. Let's speak of hope. Is there hope for the country of Zimbabwe? Based on the analysis, based on what has been happening, I don't see any hope happening in the country of Zimbabwe because the police clamped down, the army clamped down on the majority of Zimbabweans. Whenever they try and exercise their right to strike, their right to go into the street and demonstrate their frustrations with the government.
If you don't see any hope, then how can Zimbabweans solve their problems?
I think right now, the problem with the issue of Zimbabwe is that there's always a solution for Zimbabweans. Whenever things are not good in Zimbabwe, they then have to go to other countries, which gives pressure to the outlying countries. As an example, there is high pressure in South Africa right now. So it now has to be an issue of the external countries, external influence to come and change the narrative of Zimbabwe.
But things are very desperate then from what we're hearing, the reports we're hearing. Nelson Chamisa yesterday finally addressing the rally in Harare. But if they're so desperate that there's no hope, how can they be sorted out? I was under the impression that behind the scenes consultations and talks are happening, and the former president of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki, quietly going about that to try and assist, talking to Emmerson Mnangagwa, talking to the Chamisas of this world to say, how can we help you? So how can then the situation be sorted?
You are dealing with a government that is led by soldiers. You are dealing with army generals. These guys, they love power. Right now, they've aligned themselves to take over from Emmerson Mnangagwa. We have the quiet guys like S.B. Moyo. He is in line to take the presidency. We know right now that Emmerson Mnangagwa and his deputy, Chiwenga, they don't see eye to eye. But there is one common purpose where they meet. When it comes to issues of bread and butter, they join hands together. The opposition parties, they are then fragmented, and they are also always fighting within themselves. So they are not even powerful to destroy and to face ZANU-PF, even in its weakest.
Okay, but compounding Zimbabwe's problems, besides this political quagmire you are painting here, it's the drought. I mean, Zimbabwe has been suffering in terms of drought. So you have no food, you have shortages, and you have these politicians who are not seeing eye to eye, and they're not finding a solution of going forward. Where should the focus be, in your view, going forward, to try and get it to move somehow for the benefit of the people who are suffering?
So now you have people who are leading, but they are very selfish. As an example, the president, instead of driving 200 kilometers to go to his next destination from Gweru to go to Bulawayo, he charters a plane, a private plane, coming all the way from Dubai, coming to him. Traveling 10,000 miles or more than 10,000 miles, wasting petrol. Is you have a government which is not investing in health, which is not investing in the road infrastructure, which is not investing in anything. Bear in mind, Zimbabwe had the biggest world open-cast diamond mine in the world. For a regime, a tyranny regime of Robert Mugabe, to come and say, we have lost, we don't know where $15 billion went to. For them to admit that, it tells you that these guys, they do not care about the people of Zimbabwe.
Nelson Chamisa, finally, Tapiwa, Nelson Chamisa yesterday saying this year is going to be a year of demonstrations and people must protest. It's going to be more and more. Should we be bracing ourselves to see more and more protests against the background of a very intolerant security service and police service in Zimbabwe?
We were speaking about that. The funny part is half the time the government listens to demonstrations. People burn a clinic because they want a library. People burn the library because they want a computer lab. But in Zimbabwe, the people cannot speak that language. There's no clinics, right? Whenever people want to go and demonstrate, they go into the streets, they get shot. Live ammunition is in the streets. Which person would want to go there and risk their life? That is the issue now. People are scared to go into the streets and demonstrate because of the security risk. We have seen the government blaming the issue on sanctions, but those sanctions do not stop them from traveling, does not stop them from acquiring wealth. The very same sanctions does not stop them from buying tear gas, buying baton sticks to beat the people. They can invest in other areas where they want to, as long as they keep themselves the bigger cake of the country.
It's not a pretty picture that we're seeing in Zimbabwe. Thank you very much, Africa analyst Tapiwa Diamond Chadya there with